During the shelter in place, we've been rewatching old television shows, and I watch these shows and think, where's the black people? There's absolutely not one black person in this show at all. And when you watched it 15 years ago, that was not at your front of your mind. I like crafting. I like throwing parties. I love my job. I don't like that people feel unsafe in our community because of the color of their skin. My name is Ashley Brundage. I'm the Senior Vice President of Community Impact at United Way of Metropolitan Dallas.
Tell me how racism shows up in some of the work that you do.
You can see it in the photographs that they have around their office that don't look like the clients they are serving. It's usually not overt and not coming from a bad place, but it's still racism. We've gotten very intentional about asking around the makeup of boards and leadership in organizations to make sure that that clients can see people like them in professional jobs, and to make sure that they're recruiting mentors that can have some commonalities with the children and students that they're serving. I like to think that I've taken allyship a step further to do the work alongside Black people. I'm using my privilege to fight the fight that needs to happen alongside with them, and not leaving it just up to them to do. You have to go out and educate yourself, and that's not asking your Black friends to teach you what's right and what's wrong. I think that I've probably spent the past 5 years really diving into a lot of the history and these books that are out there, reading the new Jim Crow and Just Mercy and Evicted. Once you understand, you can help others understand, and you can have the conversations that need to be had with people when they say something like, I wish we weren't erasing history by taking down a Confederate monument or a Texas Ranger statue. I know I didn't become like an anti-racist at 13, but I would call it out when I would see it happening around me. I think the first thing that I can really remember and recall having an impact on my life is the Rodney King LA riots in '92. I kept a newspaper article from that time taped up on the back of my bedroom door for a long time afterwards. And I really think that experience and just the violence that happened to Rodney King made just a really pivotal impression on me at the time. So I think that was really the beginning of my journey. I had a conversation with my dad once that he and his Black friend were driving to East Texas, and they stopped to eat someplace, and they would not let his Black friend come and eat on the white side. And so my dad went and sat on the Black side of the restaurant, and I was like, you did what? And he was like, I said, do you know that that's probably a pretty big deal that as a white man that you did that back then? And he said, no, we just ate lunch. My mom's best friend growing up and even throughout adulthood was Black, and so they've never been what people normally think of when you think of a racist, but they also have internalized that white privilege type comments and thoughts about Black people that sneak out every once in a while. They've also learned and grown, but it creeps out sometimes. I think it creeps out of a lot of white people sometimes because it's just there. I had to have a really hard conversation with my son recently because he made some insensitive comments on a group chat with some of his friends about not caring about the protests that were happening right now. And so we talked about white privilege and white power, and especially what it means to be a white man in society, and how important it was for him to care and to learn. They're hard conversations to have, but I think it's important to have. Now is the time for change. Even if it's just some small steps that are made and small wins that are gained. I want us to use that momentum to continue to make change and to fight for the systemic change that needs to happen. We need to leverage this moment and every other moment that's come before it to push for progress. Now that you're paying attention, let's fight racism together. Don't sit this one out.